Hey, this is Chico with He Provides, and that's Jerica. She is ready to buy a new vehicle. I am a former award-winning automobile salesman, so I'm going to go with her to do a little looking around. Normally this isn't something I would bring you guys along for, but here's the deal. I've thought for some time that I should do a video about how to buy a car from a dealership and keep the most money in your pocket. There's a formula that dealerships go through to sell you a vehicle, and there's a formula that you can have to combat that. So we're going to do that. I'll talk to you in a bit. So it's a rainy day and we're going to stop at two different type of car lots. This car lot is just a used car lot. No new. And then unless the rain gets worse, we're going to stop. We're in Mitchell, Indiana right now. We're going to stop down the road in Orleans at a new car dealership. And then I'll give you some pointers on the difference and how you can keep your money, or at least part of it. So it's actually day 2. It started pouring down rain yesterday, and we had to kind of pull the plug on it. But we're at another car dealership. It's in Orleans, south of Mitchell, north of Paoli. But this is a new car dealership, but they have a wide variety of used vehicles. Which brings me to my first tip. Test drive a lot of them. See what you like first. See what you don't like first. Compare prices and do a lot of research. That's tip 1. So we're back home. Well, I'm back at my home and Jerica's back at her home. And drive lots of cars. See what you like and what you don't like. See what you think fits all of your needs. And then after you narrow it down to maybe a couple of types of car, then you need to do more research online. You need to research value. You need to research the upsides and the downsides of every car. Find out what customer satisfaction is on each particular type of car. For example, Fords tend to be notorious for transmission issues down the road. 100,000, 150,000 miles, Fords tend to have transmission issues. If you're buying a car, that's something you need to know. And every type of car has their own idiosyncrasies, their own issues. So do tons of research on, hands-on, in the car, at the lots, ask lots of questions, and then when you feel comfortable there, then go online and do more. Ask lots more questions. And then I'll get to I mentioned the formula I mentioned the formula earlier, and I'll get to that in just a second. But I wanted to mention, if you guys like what we're doing here, if saving money, the frugal lifestyle, if keeping more of your money in your pocket is your thing, we hope that you continue to follow us. We hope that you smash that subscription button. We hope you ring that bell so you never miss a thing we do. Please tell everyone you know. And if you've got any questions or comments or observations, please put them in the comment section below. We look forward to hearing from you guys every single day. So let me get on with this. So after you've done your research, my first suggestion is pay cash for your car. I realize that's not feasible for everybody, and that's not feasible for Jerica at this point in her life. She just turned 24, and financially she's not in bad shape, but she's not able to go out and pay cash for an $8,000 car right now, which is the type of car she's wanting to be in. So if you can't pay cash, then you need to call your bank before you actually go sit down and talk deals with a dealership. you need to talk to your bank and, in as much as possible, get pre-approved for a loan. Know what they're willing to do to work with you, okay? And take that knowledge with you to the dealership. Know exactly what the bank told you and know what percentage point they are giving you. So then the process, and let me throw this in before I get to the actual process. Here's a tip I've given for years. One of the biggest mistakes I seen people do when they were buying cars was that they borrowed money to pay their sales tax. Sales tax is painful enough without paying interest on sales tax. So you need to be able to pay the sales tax on your car. If you can't, you might not be ready to buy a car. And a down payment, I've seen people all the time come and go, and they wanted to roll everything. Purchasing fees, sales tax, no down payment, everything into this deal, and they drive off the lot and they're upside down. They owe more in the car than it's worth right then. That's a problem. It'll be a long-term problem for you. So make a down payment. And if you're in a position where you can't, maybe you're not ready to buy a car yet, but even if you move forward with it, you need to pay that sales tax. Don't finance the sales tax. So let's get to the process. So you've done all your work, you know where you're at, you know what you like, you know what the bank told you. Now it's time to go in and do the uncomfortable part. People largely don't like to negotiate. But at a dealership, all used cars, and to some extent new cars, there's room to negotiate. Used cars, there's often a lot of room to negotiate. But when you go in, the process for them is that they start asking you a lot of questions that doesn't seem invasive or doesn't seem out of place. They immediately start asking about, do you have a trade-in? They immediately start asking about, what kind of payment are you looking for? They're preparing to work the numbers in their favor. They start asking those questions before you even talk about the price of the vehicle in many cases. When the question of, do you have a trade-in comes in, your response should be something politely that says, well, I really haven't decided. I'm not even sure that I'm interested in this car. Let's talk about this car first. Don't answer them. Don't tell them whether you have a trade-in or not. It's not time. Now, here's one of the reasons why. When they're working the numbers, they will often offset the numbers to make it look like they're giving you more for your trade-in than they actually are. So you want to, before you ever discuss a trade-in, you want to set value of the car, a set price. A price that you have both agreed is a reasonable price for the particular vehicle that you're talking about. So it's too early to talk about trades. They want to talk about payments. Because here's the thing, they'll work the numbers. If you're looking for a $400 a month payment, okay, and they can adjust the numbers in their favor so that you get the payment you're comfortable with, a lot of people will feel like that's a win. They get the payment they want. But you're maybe paying more for this car than you should or than you have to. So when they start asking about payments, your response should be something like, well, I'm really not shopping for a payment. I'm shopping for a car. It's too early to talk about a payment because we don't even know what the value of this car is yet. So it's really too early to talk about this. They will keep continually, as long as you allow it, take your focus away from the price of this vehicle onto other things. The price is the last thing they want you to think about, but it's the first thing you need to address. Don't bring up trade. Don't bring up payments. Focus on the price and the price only. And if they're not willing to do that, get up, walk away. There's car dealerships everywhere. So back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. It's my wife finds it very painful. I find it a challenge. I kind of like it. So talk about this car. What do you want for it? And in your research, you should have done a Kelley Blue Book on the car you're looking at. You should have done an Edmunds.com and maybe find out any information you can find out elsewhere. With Kelley Blue Book, dealerships will often tell you, well, yeah, but that's that's a national average. No, it's not. When you do a Kelley Blue Book or a KBB, you put in your zip code. The prices that Kelley Blue Book comes up with are and if you have to be fair in grading the car, whether it's average, poor, fantastic, whatever. You need to be fair with that, and then it is giving you that value for that car in your region. It's this, for example, we're in southern Indiana in a rural community. When we do a KBB, they are not giving us prices for cars in LA or New Mexico or anywhere else. It's for here. This car in this shape in this region. Now here's another thing. When you look up Kelley Blue Book, when you give it the top excellent grading, that means there are no issues with the car, none. So when you look at this car, if it needs tires and the rest of the car is excellent, it's still not excellent, because excellent means it has new tires. If it's got scratches or dents and otherwise it's an excellent car, it's not an excellent car. And be fair to them and you when you grade it, when you're doing your research. But when you talk with them, also be fair and be honest. And they'll want to push it. Hey, that's a top of the line car. Mostly, but it does need tires. Or I've noticed that there's 2 Hankook tires on the front and 2 Goodyear on the back. Can you maybe tell us why they're not a matching set? If something's missing, whatever the damage is, that car needs to be graded accordingly. So you've done this, you have your documentation, or like my daughter, it's on my phone, and you discuss price. You don't go, they'll want to go back to payment, they'll want to go back to trade-in. No, don't even discuss it, not at all. When you settle on a price for the car, and they'll try to get you to believe that you can't get there until they have this other information. That's a lie, because all you are doing is finding out the value of the car, an agreeable value of the vehicle. Value is a relative thing, so it's a value that you're both going to agree on. They'll try to tell you that, well, we need this. No, you don't need this other information. And they'll oftentimes want to run your credit app before you get to the price. Sometimes you may have to allow that. But I wouldn't do it unless it's an absolute and you're certain this is the car. Because it's only going to ding your credit. So we're not there yet. Let's talk about the price of this car. So you've done your research. Kelley Blue Book says it's this much worth this much at a dealership in this shape, and it's worth this much from a private owner, and it's worth this much as a trade. Okay, so ideally you want to get between the dealership number and the private party number. The dealerships are going to push, well, yeah, but we're a dealership, and you're paying the difference for convenience, for them to be there when you want to go shopping. But I got to tell you, the cost of the utilities for that dealership and all the fancy furnishings, that doesn't increase the value of the car at all. However, it is an overhead cost that they have to pay, which affects their value in the car. So to get between that number is not an unreasonable goal to strive for. So shoot for that. So once you reach a price, you never talk about these other things. Once you reach your price, before you talk payment, it's too early to talk payment. Now that we know that we're going to pay, let's say $8,000. Let's say that they had $91.99 on the windshield, and back and forth, and your good research pays off. You're getting this car that they had for $9,100. You're going to get it for $8,000, and you're comfortable with that. Your research tells you that's a fair price. Now let's focus on my trade-in, because we already know the price of this car. It is $8,000. Now let's talk about this vehicle I have. And you should have done your trade-in or your research for your trade-in. Know what these independent websites say about its trade-in value. Also look up your curb weight for your vehicle so that you know what scrap price is. So you know, like my daughter's car, it's an '04 Escape, and it's got a lot of hard miles. It's good to know what scrap price is, because if your car weighs X amount of pounds at X amount of pennies per pound, and it comes up to $600 and they're only offering you $5, you can straight up tell them, I could drive it up here to the junkyard and make $100 more than you're offering me, and maybe you can get them to come up to your way of thinking. But know the value and know what you expect to receive. Don't be unrealistic, because everybody, what they own, they think it's worth more than anybody else will. So be realistic, but know the value of your vehicle. And we go back to negotiating. They offer you $5, tell them, well, yeah, but I think it's worth $8. And I'm talking because hers is so old. Well, maybe they'll go $6. Back and forth, because $25 is dinner out, or $28 is my water bill for a month. So pennies matter, dollars matter. Back and forth. Then you establish the price of your trade-in. So you got $8,000, agreed $8,000 on the car you're buying, and you agreed, let's say $1,000 on your trade-in. So now you're talking $7,000 that you're going to borrow from the bank. They're going to want to hit you on payments again. You don't want to talk payments, you want to talk points. Because the thing is if you borrow money on this car for 7 years or 5 years or whatever, your interest or your payments are going to be lower, because you're going to pay them a lot more interest. What you need to discuss is the interest point. Know in the back of your mind what you've got. Then if they offer financing or offer to help with financing, talk to them. And when they say, well, what have you got? Be polite, but say, well, let's discuss what you can get me. Because if you tell them what your bank has already approved, they're not going to work hard to get you 1 or 2 full points lower. No, they're only going to try to beat it by enough to get you to agree to go with their lender, and they're going to make some money off of you on financing. Don't tell them. Find out what they will offer you. And if what they offer you is a great deal, then go with their lender. If what they offer you is only 0.1% better than what your bank offers you, you might be better off with staying with your bank, because you've already got a working relationship with them, and that's worth quite a bit. So, you establish the price of the car first. You don't talk about anything else. Then you establish the value of your trade-in. You don't talk about anything else. And then when you get to financing, you don't talk about payment. You talk about interest. What's my interest rate? After you've settled that, then you worry about payment. And if payment is a massive deal, if you could do $350 a month, but you can't do $400, you maybe need to reevaluate the type of car that you're looking at. Because bottom line is, at the course of the time that I own this car, how much money did I throw into it, including interest and fees and all of these things. The less money that you've thrown into it, the better off you are financially. And this is your life. Every aspect of your money is a big deal. So you do the financing. If your bank's got a better deal, go with them. If their lender's got a reasonably better deal, you might want to consider that. But that's how you walk out the dealership with keeping the most money in your pocket, and having the best deal on the car that you have put the effort into. So that's it. I hope it helps. Keep your money. I appreciate you guys coming along. If you have any questions or comments or concerns, post them in the comment section below. I'll be glad to answer them to the best of my ability. Thanks for coming along. I said that, didn't I? Godspeed, guys.